welcome. I've recently read in the comments a question concerning various Romanian words from the lexical field of work, and I thought it was a very interesting topic to talk about. So in this video, I'm going to go through some of the words that are related to work and try to explain them. First off, let's take a look at following verb pair. A munci versus a lucra. Now, both of them mean to work, right? And if you look them up in the dictionary, they are treated as synonyms. So, a munci is defined as a lucra and the other way around. But are they perfect synonyms? Here's how I see things. Their basic generic meaning is indeed the same. So both verbs stand for performing or doing work, and there are lots of contexts in which you can use them interchangeably. Like, for example, if you want to ask someone where they work, you can use any of them. So you can either ask unde muncești or unde lucrezi, and there's no difference in meaning. However, when it comes to specifying the occupation or the field of employment or the place where one practices their occupation, so when you get more specific about the type of work one performs, there seems to be a subtle distinction in the manner the two verbs are being used. The verb a munci tends to be associated with physical labor, and here you have some examples. Muncesc pe șantier. Muncesc ca zidar. Aside from physical labor, a munci can also be used when you want to stress the sustained effort or hard work you're putting into doing something. For example, am muncit o viață întreagă la proiectul acesta. Maybe it has something to do with its etymology. The word for work, munca, has its origins in an old Slavic word meaning physical pain or torment. And I, for one, have the feeling that the verb a munci communicates a great deal about effort, even if it's not always physical effort, of course. On the other hand, a lucra tends to be preferred when talking about intellectual work. So you can say, for example, lucrez la universitate, but muncesc la universitate sounds a bit off. The same way as lucrez ca profesor seems to be a tad more appropriate than muncesc ca profesor. But a lucra has many meanings, and it's not limited to intellectual work, so it can also refer to manual work. For example, lucrez în grădină. Moreover, a lucra tends to gain more and more ground nowadays, probably also because it entered the language a bit later than a munci, and many speakers seem to have a subjective preference for this one. Maybe because it sounds more modern, I don't know. So as you can see, there's a very fine line between the two, and in many cases it's just a matter of preference whether you use one or the other. Okay, let's move on to the next pair of synonyms, which are actually the derived nouns from the verbs I've just talked about. Munca and lucru. Munca refers to the mental or physical effort you put into an activity in order to achieve or accomplish something, or the activity you perform to earn a living, or the place of employment. I've just defined it like a talking dictionary, so you get it. It's the general term for work. And here are some examples. Proiectul presupune foarte multă muncă. Oh my gosh, what was that accent all about? Proiectul presupune foarte multă muncă. Nu mă duc la muncă azi. Lucru has such a broad meaning that I think I'm going to dedicate an entire episode of Romanian Word of the Day to it. But here I'm just going to limit my explanations to how it's related to the semantic field of work. So, lucru, as I said, is synonym with munca, and the same way as the verbs a munci and a lucra, they can be used interchangeably in lots of situations. For example, you can say, nu îmi găsesc nicăieri de muncă, or nu îmi găsesc nicăieri de lucru. And there is no difference in meaning. Another word that has to do with work in a sense is treaba. Treaba can be understood as a task or a set of tasks that need to be undertaken, or an activity that keeps you busy and that you have to do whether you like it or not. And it can be used in the context of employment, but because its meaning is not very specific, there's a wide range of situations it can be used in. And here's an example. Azi am multă treabă. The next pair of synonyms I wanted to add to my list is serviciu versus slujbă. Serviciu can mean different things in different contexts, and in a context of work, it refers to one's job or workplace. And here's an example. Merg la serviciu cu bicicleta. Likewise, slujbă is used when referring to paid employment or a job. For example, riști să-ți pierzi slujba. However, I have the feeling that serviciu has definitely gained more ground nowadays and it sounds more modern than slujbă. One more related word is post, and I think you have this word in English as well and it actually means the same thing. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. So, post can be used to refer to a position, a function, a job, or an employment for which one has been hired. For example, am acceptat un post nou în străinătate. Another pair of synonyms that I wanted to include here is profesie versus meserie. Profesie is defined as a paid occupation that requires specialized knowledge which one has achieved through training and formal qualification. For example, tatăl meu este medic de profesie. Meserie is synonym with profesie, and it can be used in a broader sense to refer to a paid occupation, but it mainly defines as qualified manual work that requires manual skills, like in case of a trade. And here's an example. Bunicul meu este tâmplar de meserie. I also felt like adding the word îndeletnicire to this list. Now try to pronounce it. Even though I have to say it sounds rather archaic and it's not necessarily used nowadays that much, but who knows, maybe you'll stumble across it sometime, so why not? So as I said, îndeletnicire is an older word for an occupation, activity or profession, and here's an example. Pescuitul este o îndeletnicire veche. And the last word I'm going to talk about in this video is vocație. Vocație is a calling. I think the English word vocation actually means the same thing. So it refers to a strong inclination to a particular field of activity or a strong feeling of suitability for a particular occupation. And here's an example. Mi-am descoperit adevărata vocație. Alrighty, that's about it for now. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video and that I managed to clarify some of your questions. If there's any particular topic you'd like me to talk about in a future video, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'll see you next time. Be happy. Da, mami, hai că pictăm imediat, da?